I hope that each one of you have received an email from ManageBack. In that email, there's that famous blue button that when you click on it, you create your own password, and therefore you can set up your account, use your account that you have received the email on, the password that you have made, and you're logged in. As soon as you logged in, this is what you will see in the beginning. Unfortunately, this one tab isn't really used much. Maybe if you are in the Parents Association, you can suggest for them to use ManageBack more often, maybe to start messaging each other through it. But otherwise, what you will need is from home, you can see everything that your child has been doing. If you have multiple children in the school, then there is an option to choose another child. This account has only one, so it doesn't show, but you should be able to switch it from your profile. This is the front of like what your student has been doing in the school. In here, you will see any upcoming events that are happening. With events, I mean any quiz, any exam that's coming, any project, anything that the teacher has assigned for your children will be shown in here. And then you can also go through the days themselves. You could see your homeroom teacher, the homeroom teacher for the student from here. You could see who it is, therefore you can speak to them. And then if your student is in DP, not MYP, you will see also the teacher that is responsible for them for their CAS. And that's the name that you see in here. That one is for CAS. Aside from that, other contacts that are important will also be shown in here, which in this case, it's Mr. Jamie's account. From there, the most important things that you will be using, and because we have EduPage as well, which that one is for attendance and emailing you about behavior and all of that. So you wouldn't see much of that on ManageBack. ManageBack is mostly for which classes is my student in, which units are they using now, which unit is my student in math, which unit is he in science, and then also what are the grades that they're getting for the projects. All of that is in here. So when you scroll down, this student is a test student, we named him, so he has only one class, but you will be able to see the list of classes that your child is in. It will be here. And this is one of the examples. This is one of the classes. So I could click on classes in general and see all of them, or I could click on that one class that I would like to see, and then I can see what's going inside of that class. From here, you are able to see which units are happening when. If it's orange, that means it's a current unit, it's happening now, and you can see the progress of it, like how many weeks are we in that unit. And then what are the upcoming units that are coming after that? You can also see them from here. It's your way to keep yourself on track with your student, to see where they are in the units and what are they taking now. Aside from that, you can see they already had a quiz in here. This is a past quiz, so it's showing a bit later date. They have done already a quiz in here. When you click on it, you are able to see a bit more of details, but since it passed, it's just not showing me anymore. I would like to show you this thing in here. This is where you receive the grades of your students, or if you have multiple. Every teacher should be sending you the grades with a notification. You are able to see it on your email. Therefore, when you click on it on the email, it directs you to ManageBack, or if you are already in ManageBack, you will see it as a notification like this one. It will say that grades were published for this one task. And when you click on it, then you can see exactly what it means. And you can see all the grades over there. And if there are any comments. Okay. Aside from that, there isn't much more that you would need from ManageBack. Discussions and all of that is happening through EduPage. All of the behavioral things and attendance is also through EduPage. So mainly what you need from ManageBack is the classes, the units, and the notifications that you get from those units. That's all from my side. Anyone has any questions?
Yeah,
Yes.
concerning the materials, the uploading of materials into Management.
Yes.
There was a concern that it was mainly textbooks in most of the classes, so it would be beneficial for everybody, for students and for parents, to have those materials uploaded. And so, for example, yeah, I'm using a mobile apps. Yeah.
Yes.
Now it's whereas certain materials uploaded. So
Yes.
that was a concern. So that's where we're sure everybody where we can find the materials.
You could find them in the units. Unfortunately, this one that's on my hand is empty because of the student being of a different level, but teachers can send you those materials through different ways. For example, what I use for my class is Google Drive. I have a Google Drive that has all of the materials shared with the students, but some teachers might share it through EduPage and through ManageBack, and that would be through the unit itself. There will be resources. If you can try to see it over there, it should be available for parents to see it. I'm not able to see it from here.
I can see them just attached to one the unit.
Yes, because most of the teachers are still new, so they're still uploading their materials over there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Question is, can we expect most of the teachers uploading their materials to ManageBack? Because otherwise, it's complicated to keep track of what's going on. That's the question.
Yeah, at the moment we use ManageBack, like Ms. Marna said, primarily for looking at the unit overviews and uploading the grades and the tasks, and then the comments and stuff that the teachers give for specific grades. At the moment, it's not the only option for resources. So we do have, in some cases, like Ms. Marna said, she uses a Google Drive. In my classes, for example, when it comes to materials, I use Google Classroom because I find it's a lot simpler for the students to use, and we can interact on there more, and we can create discussion questions and stuff. So I guess the solution to that would be is probably either asking the teachers to have access to that. For example, I can easily give access to my Google Classrooms for any parents as well as students. Alternatively, we could probably put together a list of where each teacher has their materials at the moment. Because ManageBack is great for many things, but it's not the most ideal for collecting resources. And certain teachers have found other methods to be more effective for their classes. But again, it's all there. So if you want access, for example, it's easy to access my Google Classroom. I'm sure Ms. Marna can give access to the Google Drive.
Yes.
We could put together, like in the past, it's worked quite well and there hasn't been issues with it, but we could put together a document for each teacher and a link to where to access those materials. That would be helpful.
Really appreciate that.
Because they're all there, but I agree, they're not always in ManageBack. Our criteria for ManageBack are here are the units and here are the grades. But in terms of materials, teachers have discretion as to which platform they use for those, depending on how it works for their subject and their specific students.
Yeah, but usually like we use different platforms, but the student always receives an email. Yeah, it all comes to their email if there's something going on Google Classroom or in ManageBack or any other platform that we might use. Yeah, they always get an email, so this is where they can start if they're not sure. But usually they're all user friendly, and they also learn to navigate through different platforms, which they will need in future.
Yeah.
His question is to help parents navigate on that. To support their children. Otherwise, we are stuck in the situation that the child is responsible, but we are unable to have him in advance meeting. So then the situation comes, but some of the children at this age, they kind of need some guidance. And if I have that's my previous experience with IB school that was all in ManageBack. Just open it and I see, well, you have 3 homeworks pending, so what's going on about them, let's it, and then typical what I get, oh, gosh, there is a math homework. And that's it. And then the child himself might, check in one place. Otherwise, it's just kind of going to different platforms, checking emails. It makes it much more complicated. It's probably more convenient for teachers because they got used to certain platforms. That's it. But that's not that much convenient for students and parents.
When it comes for, yes.
Sorry, thank you very much for raising this concern. This is my concern. I absolutely am joining in. As for example, I'm coaching evening classes. You can be stuck like that.
I'm sorry, we don't hear that conversation at all. Like, I mean, on the background, except Ms. Merna. So, is it possible, like, to involve us, or I don't know? Thank you.
Okay, we'll repeat the questions. Okay, so because the people that are online, they don't hear. So the question was that the concern is that there are many platforms that are being used. So now we are just discussing it.
Yes.
But I believe that the list of resources for each subject might be is the solution.
I think we can try the list of resources. And aside from that, the task itself to monitor if they have homework or something, it should be through ManageBack. If not, then by email for sure, but it should be through ManageBack. And the students in middle school, for example, they have their own homework diaries, which they should be using them as well.
Yeah,
so
we really want students to develop this skill as well. So there is, everything could be in ManageBack, everything could be here, but we do want them to create their own system of organization as well. So students are mandated to either use a physical homework diary or some online tracking system that they can choose. For example, Google Tasks, Google Calendar, and then they pull from different places into there. So it is also a skill we are hoping. We don't want to necessarily spoon feed them everything through ManageBack, also as a form of skill development. A lot of students here come into Academy, and yes, they are a little bit overwhelmed and all over the place. Give it a few weeks, give it a few months, and they have this new skill of being able to keep track of all these things. I mean, personally, I'm a teacher. I probably switch between 20 to 30 different platforms, and I think many of us do in the world these days use many different digital options. So it is good for them as well to learn how to use a few different ones. But your concern is very fair, and I think it would be good to at least know for which teacher where those resources are kept. And even at the very least, what I'm thinking now would be easy enough is in those ManageBack resources, I could simply put a link to the Google Classroom. And then at least it's there and it can at least take you to the right place. So certainly that's something we could streamline. But there will be different platforms for different teachers, but we can put them into one.
So you mentioned it's only like the 4 subjects, yeah?
ManageBack? It's for all of their subjects. Yes.
Because sometimes there is communication via page, sometimes communication via ManageBack, so I'm just curious.
Yes, so exactly as so we're saying, so ManageBack is for seeing the units and for seeing the grades. EduPage, we use it for attendance, and in some cases, I think we use it for the homework as well. So there's different platforms. There's 2 platforms. There's EduPage and ManageBack, and they're used for different things.
So you should check for.
Correct. Yes, it's important to check. Yeah. EduPage, where we must use it, it's in accordance with Slovak regulations. We have to use it for certain things, and for IB, we have to use ManageBack. So it's not possible to only use one of them. Actually.
Yes.
The IB grades, they don't work in EduPage, so that's why we cannot use it for grades.
There's a specific grading system on ManageBack that Mr. Roman is going to cover a bit later in this meeting.
May I? So if I may summarize, and I just would like to check my understanding. So for the units, the syllabus will be published on ManageBack. And now I'm talking to parents because we're discussing and mixing 2 different things. One was homework, which I understand the kids, they have to just grow the ownership and just, they need to look after their homework, but for us as for parents, can we rely that all the units, the syllabus will be published on Managed Bag? Just checking, because now we're in week 3 and out of all of the subjects, only 4 units are published on Managed Bag.
Yeah, it will be published in Managed Bag. Yeah, like last week we were on a camp trip. So the week 1 to be like for real proper work with students. So it will be.
So is there a deadline? Is there a deadline for the teachers to finalize the sort of publishing, or publishing the units, the syllabus on Managed Bag?
Well, we have the syllabi are all made and have been provided to the students, but yes, we can easily put them all into Managed Bag. It just takes a minute. I would say in another week, everything will be finalized. There was also a slight Managed Bag glitch last week, so we're a little bit playing catch up due to the camp trip and the Managed Bag technical.
After they came from the camp, I said for them, sorry, there's a glitch with Managed Bag. You need to delete your classes and add them again. Managed Bag is showcasing the last year thing instead of this year.
But it's been fixed, right?
It has been fixed.
So I would say, yeah, let's say by the end of next week, at least the syllabi, all of the units, you can see the overviews. So we'll say by next Friday. I mean, we have them all.
We have them, yes. And
students have seen them as well.
I would also say expect the units to have some minor changes in them, maybe some units added later on the year. For me, for my topic, for example, students have their own ideas sometimes that would like to create a small unit for it. So we add that unit for them. Why not? If they're excited about that, we can add it. So things might change throughout the year, but the skeleton of the whole, how it should look like through the year, should be there on Managed Bag.
Okay, thank you. I'm just asking because it's all very confusing having so many different communication platforms, and yeah. Anyways, thank you.
Thank you.
I would also I would remind, like, just give it a little bit of time. I've been using these platforms. Maybe at the beginning they seem like a lot. They are relatively straightforward to use, and there's just 2 of them at the moment.
Yeah, I mean they're all very sort of easy, straightforward platforms. It's just from efficiency point of view, and for having the complete pictures, it's just switching between them. That's my only concern, that so nothing gets lost in transfer.
Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, the students should have their own system of organization as well, where they keep it all together. But yes, as I mentioned, we do need to have both for Slovak reasons and for and IB reasons. So unfortunately, we can't do away with one of them.
Okay, do you have any other questions for Ms. Merna regarding Managed Bag?
Where can I find the teacher's name of the class?
I'm sorry?
Where can I find the class teacher's name on the Managed Bag?
It was on the
It should appear on the home page. As soon as you enter it, it should appear. The class teacher should appear there. If not, then on EduPage for sure you can see it. Maybe it needs to be updated.
I cannot see the teacher.
Okay.
Right now, only one coordinator.
Yes.
I cannot see other teachers' name.
I will look through it today and update it for you. I'm pretty sure it just needs a small update.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Ms. Merna? Okay, if not, then we can continue. And Mr. Thomas, who is the head of middle years program, MYP 123, he will present his ideas.
So if this works. Do you click on the screen? See if that works. Okay, good. Yeah, before I jump into that, I'll also just mention, like, this is a really important meeting, of course, and we can do this when we need to, but if you have questions beyond this meeting or at any time, please feel free to reach out to your class teacher of your student. And if you can't find a solution that way, then me or Mr. Roman are always available and will provide our emails today. So if you have any questions concerned, EduPage, ManageBack, what to do, how to use it, please just let us know. Okay, we're super happy to help, and I can understand at the beginning of the school year things might feel confusing, but there is a system and it does work. We've been doing it for many years, and it does work for us and for students. So if it's unclear to you, please just reach out to me or to Mr. Roman. So yeah, so a bit about what I'm doing here. It's my 4th year teaching here, and starting this year, I am the head of the middle school, which is MYP 1, MYP 2, and MYP 3. So Mr. Roman here, he is the coordinator of the whole MYP program, dealing with the IB side of things. My task is more to come in at the middle school level. So again, MYP 1, 2, 3, to focus more on this developmental period that is middle school. I think we all know that middle school is not quite yet high school, but it is also no longer primary school. This is a unique period of adolescence. They're not quite as independent yet as high school students. They often have a lot more energy, but they want to do things on their own. They have a lot of strong ideas, strong thoughts, and they are eager and active, but still quite independent. So they're not quite at the primary level where they need a lot of guidance, but they're not quite at the high school level where they are mostly learning independently on their own. So I wanted to come in and dive into this project and see what we can do to form more of a coherent middle school at our school. So I apologize if your children here are not MYP 1, 2, 3, just bear with me for 5 minutes. So this is what I just said. We wanted to set our middle school apart from high school and primary school. This includes taking a holistic approach, meaning we're not just looking at academics, although we value academics greatly and our program is very academically rigorous. We are also looking to develop other skills in our students. Social emotional competencies, for example, working together, collaborating, and developing some softer skills as well that will help them moving forward. There's a lot of independent work, but also a lot of collaborative work. And again, we want them to be able to succeed in both of these areas. Okay, so as I mentioned, it is a unique period of life. We recognize this. Students in middle school often are more active in their learning rather than passive in their learning. And although we, again, aim to make this very academic at this age, it's also important to bring in some fun and to make the learning a bit more dynamic and personally relevant to the students. So we recognize this, and to work towards this, instead of simply just open your textbook and going through the textbook through the whole year, test, 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 like traditional education has been for many years, research shows this doesn't really work long-term. Students don't actually retain a lot of that information moving forward. So we try to make it a bit more active, a bit more personal. We do a lot of projects, group work. We have performance art classes, debates, interviewing professionals, group presentations. We aim to do a lot of field trips, school camp trips, and again, these summative assessment projects rather than always tests. More personalized, interesting projects that are connected to the real world. Of course, there are some tests here and there. We like to focus a lot on vocabulary, but in addition to that, we want to get students doing something, developing their skills. Okay, so this sort of segues me into skills. I'm not going to focus on this for too long. Mr. Roman will touch on this a bit later as well, but really at the core of the MYP program is skills. This is a skills-based program, and the IB calls these approaches to learning. And it's not only related to thinking and research and such academic skills, but also, for example, self-management, communication, and social skills. So these are really at the heart of our middle program. Okay, I think the ManageBack meeting took a little longer than expected, so I'm just going to go through this very quickly, but we do have a few characteristics that our middle school aims to take. And these are based on some points I've taken from the Association for Middle Level Education, which is the top research-based middle school organization in North America. So some of our core characteristics are to respect and of course value our young adolescents. We offer comprehensive counseling and support services. We have a school psychologist here when needed. We have an academic guidance counselor for when it's needed for our students. And of course, you are our valued partners. We really, really encourage strong communication and collaboration between us, okay? So at any time you need help, please reach out to us, okay? I see it as my job mostly for the kids, but that inherently involves all of you. So I would really like to forge that between us as well. Related to curriculum instruction, of course, it should be academically challenging. We want our students to feel pushed, but we also want it to be a little bit exploratory, personal, integrative, and diverse. Also democratic. I like the word they chose to put on here. This is also what we aim to embody. We like to give our students in the middle school program voice and choice, not always telling them exactly what to do their project on, but to give them a framework, to give them guidelines, and let them choose something they're more personally interested in. The results are way better. They get excited, they put time into it, they put effort into it, they run away with it. I've seen kids here create some beautiful projects that blew me away because I didn't tell them exactly what to do. Of course, varied and ongoing assessments throughout the year. And as we just talked about, those will be always through management. Okay, in terms of our leadership, we aim to make it student-centered, fair. We as teachers are committed to learning about young adolescents, educational research. This is something I will be doing with our middle school teachers across the year. At least once every few weeks, once a month, we meet, we talk about what works, what doesn't work in light of our experiences, as well as in light of research. And finally, the whole structure of our organization, what we're really aiming to do is to foster purposeful learning. We want it to feel relevant and meaningful to the students. Otherwise, we're faced with apathy. We know at this age, there's a lot of potential apathy. So we're trying to avoid that by connecting it to the world and making it a bit more purposeful. And of course, forming healthy relationships, students among teachers, with you as parents. We want to form it as a community. I think learning happens best when we're all on the same page and we all know what's going on. So again, to bring it full circle to your concerns, I really get them. We'll find a solution together for that, okay? And the last one, I just wanted to leave you with a sentence I wrote. So together, I really hope, working alongside you, we aim to provide all of your kids knowledge and skills to thrive, of course, academically, but also on a personal level, and to really find what they like, what makes them tick, what are their talents, how can we help them reach their potential. So I put my email there. Yes, multiple platforms. I'm sorry, but you are free to contact me through EduPage. Not too complicated, but I also have an email address if you want to send me an email there. If it's too much, just both. I check both of them, so whichever one feels simpler for you guys. Okay. So that's it for me. I don't know if there are any questions at the moment. Otherwise, I'll pass the torch to Mr. Rowan. Okay. But yeah, please feel free to get in touch there. Happy to collaborate.
Thank you very much. So we have 5 minutes left in the Zoom call. I thought we would make it in 40 minutes. So I would stop the Zoom call now, and please use the same link to join again, okay? Yeah, is it okay? I hope it's okay for everyone. So I'll stop it and start again, and then I will start talking about the grading system in middle year program. Where we assess their work. With their minimal listening skills, that they would get maybe 1 or 2. If they're really understanding very well, they can analyze the conversations, they would get maybe 7 or 8. This is the scale that we are. for. So here you can see the criteria for each of the subjects, the eight subjects. So you will always see it in the manager pack. So there's no need for you to remember all that. Always when you click on it, open the grades, you will see these the criteria there. Yeah, so always it's a holistic approach. So we always have to not only check if they know the grammar, but we really have to be able to assess them on all these criteria. If they can speak, if they can communicate, if they can write. Yeah, so it's a holistic approach in all these subjects that we are teaching in MYP middle years program. And then in the final grade, this is the trend that I was talking about. So this is what you see on the report card at the end of semester or at the end of the year. So if you didn't had, for example, in the first unit, in the summative assessment, the result was 5. This grade was 5. Then in the next one, the result was 6. And then the last unit was the result was 7. So the end grade for the semester or for the end of year will be 7. Yeah, it's not going to be 6 as the average, but it will be where is he now? Where is she now at this stage? What is the trend? So if it goes down, of the same way, it's going to be 5. Yeah. In some cases, if it's not clear or people, the teacher can decide based on the formative assessment throughout the unit. Or also the participation and other criteria that they might have internally, the teachers. Yeah, but most important is the summative assessment.
But at the end, the final assessment will be like 5-4.
Mm-hmm.
Even there was 7. Mistakes and gets like lower. Great.
Mm-hmm. Theoretically, yes, but it's always up to the teacher, to the assessment. If he sees that the student has been working a lot and is really trying hard, and he's a really good student, then they might say, yeah, this is maybe just a failure that happened, or that the student was stressed out, but it's really about the trend. Yeah, so if it's just one little glitch, usually all the teachers will decide for the better level. Also, but also on the other hand, it could be that students don't do anything, but it doesn't really happen. Yeah, but in theory, if the student would be sneaky, they could not do anything, and at the end, they think they would get a 7. But still, the teacher would assess it in some way. Yeah, that it's if he sees that we really improve, or it's just like he learned for this test, or he did this one project very well, he will also take it into account. Yeah, but it's really about the trend. So at the end of the year or at the end of the semester, we add up all the criteria, all the grades from these criteria, and then we produce a grade. So when we add it up, so if it's 28 or 32, they will get a 7, and so on. Yeah. So we don't use the terminology in IB specifically: excellent, very good, good, satisfactory, acceptable. But it's just for your imagination that you can compare it to different types of grading systems to make it more understandable. Yes. 8 is so in the end of year there's no 8. Yeah, so 8 is like A++ in if you can imagine, but it's only during the year, during the summative or formative assessment, we can give this grade. But at the end of the year, it stops at 7.
So like, so it is a bit confusing. So
Yeah,
like on individual assignments, you can get up to 8, and on the criteria. So that's why you see at the end, the maximum mark is 32. 8 times 4 is 32. So even if you get all 8s the whole year, your final grade will be a 7, actually. Yeah, but another thing, I'm sorry to interject, but just because I have a lot of parents who see a 4, for example, and think, a 4 is half of an 8. So that means a 4 is 50%. It's just not how it works in the IB program. So a 4 is actually a satisfactory grade. 4s happen. It's not 50%. It's satisfactory. Okay. And 5s are good. 6s are quite hard to get. They're very good. 7s are awesome. Excellent. They're rare. But I just had a lot of parents contacting, well, a 4 is half of an 8, so it must be 50%. It's not the way the IB system works for grading. Sorry, that's all I wanted to mention.
Yeah, so we have 1 and 2 are really a cause for concern, but the other grades are acceptable. Yeah, 3 is still acceptable, 4 is a good grade. So it's a little bit, when you compare it to PYP, it's a little bit more complex. PYP didn't have all these criteria, A, B, C, D, but here it's more complex, but at the end, at the report card, it's getting simple again, yeah. Okay, so thank you very much. Do you have any questions about the grading or?
Yes, I do. So the final grade. So is it made out of formative and summative grades together, or is it only the summative?
It's only the summative.
So what are the formative for?
The formatives are for forming or for creating the knowledge or skills. Yeah. So throughout the unit, at the end of the unit, there's a summative assessment, but throughout there are formative assessment, like short, small assessments to make sure that everybody's on the same page, that students are on track, and it helps them build the knowledge, helps them really prepare for the final grade.
But they are not included in the grades whatsoever.
They are not included, yeah. But sometimes when the teacher has to decide, I don't know, it's like 27.5, or like theoretically, yeah, it is deciding between 2 grades, like 6 or 7 or 5 or 6, then they might look into the formative assessments if the students were really doing their work throughout the whole unit, or they just didn't do so much at the end, like they really tried hard. But in general, it's the summative assessment is the most important. Sometimes also the students are always asking if this is the summative, this is a formative. If it's a formative, yeah, then I don't care, I don't have to do it. But it's not the case. It's really for them to prepare, to be able, it's a milestone that helps them to really get into the final destination. So they shouldn't take it lightly.
And will they have a test or exam after every single unit, or is it going to be shared or announced in some kind of way?
Yeah, it's always
so they can revise and prepare.
So it depends on the subject, on the teacher, if there's a test or if there's a project, and they have to present the project. So there's always some kind of assessment at the end of the unit.
But yes, they will be like those summative assessments. Teachers must put them into ManageBack, and obviously not the day before the assessment. Typically at least 2 weeks.
Okay.
But it's not always tests. In fact, it's not usually tests for middle MYP 1, 2, 3. MYP 4, 5 start becoming a bit more test-based as they prepare for the diploma program. But at MYP 1, 2, 3, we're encouraging a bit more project-based learning rather than strictly tests, although both are included. And
thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, any other questions? Okay, so no other questions. All right, so if you don't have any other questions, then if you have them in the future, you can always reach out to us or to your class teachers. Yeah, if there's something that you're not understanding or that it's not clear from the communication, or you're interested in something, then you can let your class teachers know or let us know, or also through the class teachers, you can also, or directly you can ask the subject teachers if there's something that you really need to know regarding the subject or something is not clear.
Sorry, can you go back to the first two slides and join a little bit later?
Yes, the very first two, or
The Wednesday.
Yes.
Yeah, so the ones I missed, so I can repeat the part that you guys online have missed, and I wouldn't keep you longer if you have some other things to do, I'm sure. So thank you very much for your attendance, and we're looking forward to cooperate this year together and make the best out of it.
Should you get your room in the desk?
Thank you.
Thank you.
while he's doing that, I can hang around a few more minutes if there are any other questions.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Go to the next slide. Next slide.
Okay, so the next slide. Yes. So here, all right, going to move a little bit so there's not so much noise over. All right, so I was here I was talking about the program that is a 5-year program from MYP 1 to MYP 5. So it's corresponding with year 7 to year 11. Yeah, so if you had your children in the PYP program, then they ended year 6 and now they started year 7. And we have in MYP we have 8 subjects that are
Yes.
important. Yeah, so it's not like maybe in the past we used to think of physical education as a free lesson or extra lesson where they just play. Here in IB and MYP, we are really trying to emphasize that all the subjects are equally important. And here, for example, PE includes, it's called PHE, so physical and health education. So they have to really be able to understand the way the body works. They have to create projects. They have to set up some goals, and it's really about the organization of playing and learning how to play some games.
I remember last year, but you know, in the end of last year, the teachers, my son is year 9. Sorry, it's year 10 now. Choose his subject. But now you said only the 8 subject areas fixed. The children can select which they can learn. My son is in year 10 now.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you. There's quite some noise here. I'm going to go to another room. Then I will ask you
Would
to.
other parents who's online and not speaking, shut off, they mute their microphones because it's really sometimes interrupting things.
Okay, just a second. I moved to a different room. Okay, so can you hear me now? Can you hear me well? Hello?
Okay. My son now in the year 10. Okay. I was told that he can choose his subject. Right. But now you say there are 8 subject areas. It's fixed. All students need to study this 8 subject area.
So throughout the like subject area. So within these subject areas, they later on there are choices. Yeah, but it's physical and health education, language acquisition where they can choose, then language and literature, individuals and societies, mathematics, design, the arts and sciences. So within sciences, then they can choose a little more. Yeah, so they can choose later on math or physics, etc.
Okay. This is 8 subjects. I see. Okay, thank you.
Subject areas, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and throughout these years, we don't have a exact like a prescribed curriculum that we have to do something a certain way. there's a guideline. We have options to choose from, so it's a little bit more free for the teachers as well as for the students. Yeah, so in the PYP program, it was more prescribed. Also in the DP program, in the diploma program, it's very strict because they have to prepare for the exams. But here in the middle year programs, it's a little bit more flexible, and it also helps the students be more flexible and prepare for what's coming throughout the diploma program or high school. Yeah, so these are the approaches to learning. So this is what our goal is. So it's not only to teach our student content, but also make them think independently, think critically, to develop their social skills, to be able to work within a team, to improve their communication skills, and also self-management. Yeah, so this is a time where they start to self-manage. They start to manage themselves, and very important is the research skills. Yeah, so they cannot just first thing that they hear from someone, they shouldn't think it's true, but they should really have the ability to research and understand what good sources are. This is a IB learner profile. It means what we want our students to be. They should be principled, to be honest, to be thinkers, communicators, risk takers, to really be knowledgeable. Reflection is a big part of our program. So they set a goal to learn something or to create some product, some project, and then at the end, when they did it, so they reflect on their work. Also, when there's something happening regarding their behavior, there's also, we give them always, we want them to reflect on their behavior, what they have done. So this is the general approach of IB. Then throughout the middle year program, they have also service and action. This is an extracurricular activity where they have to do something for the common good, something for the community, help a charity, or some organization, and they tell us, and we check their progress. If they set up a goal to raise so much money for charity XYZ, and then we check if they were able to do it, or maybe we can give them some guidance how to do that. Yeah, and then also they have action, part of this service and action program, which means they have to, for example, they set a goal that they want to learn another language that is not offered by the school, but they set a goal that by the end of the year, I want to be A2 in this language, yeah, or something else, or they want to learn how to develop a website or create something else, so something that they are interested in, and we will help them through it in terms of checking if they are actually working on it. So this is service in action. It's part of the IB program. Yes?
May I have a question? Talking about the community, doing something for the community, we are foreign, in this country, so we are not familiar with Slovakia, things. So it's hard for my children to do some, community, do something for the community. Doesn't teacher able to organize some activities for my children to do this kind of do something for the communities. We are not familiar with the life here, we don't have much relationship with the local community. So it's hard for us, as a foreigner, to do these things.
Yeah, so in like the teachers, they give guidance in this sense, so they're helping them, they're pointing the students towards you know, the projects or charities, or give them ideas for research. Yeah, so teachers can give them some ideas, but the research should be on the students. Yeah, so they should be the ones that actually do it. The teachers can help them to point them into the right direction, but they are responsible for themselves. Yeah, so they have to find something here in this country, or in it doesn't have to be even in this country, it can be in different country, but there has to be something that they do that it's not subject based, but it's something extra, an extracurricular activity for this. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Can I, sorry.
Yes. Thank you.
Can I just ask, so which year is is this done, the service action?
It's starting in yeah, year 7, year 6. Yeah, they're already the MYP 1, 2, 3. They're already starting doing this service action.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so and is it the sort of because for example, my son, he's in MYP 1, so he's year 7. So when can be this expected? Because I mean,
it will be expected throughout the year. Yeah. Now we are focusing on starting the curricular activities, and then throughout the year, it will be announced, and you know, there'll be plenty of time for doing this. Yeah.
And is it a group exercise, or is it a individual exercise, or is it is it depending on the student if he decides to do something by themselves, or within a group?
Usually it's individual, but it can be also done in a group. Yeah, if they decide to do organize something together, it's possible, but it's important that each student has a different role in this. Yeah, so that it's easy to check like the progress of their activities.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Thank you. And so let's continue. And then the personal project, it's for the MYP 5 students, so year 11. And this is a special project where they have to create a product or some outcome based on their personal interest. And so that means that something they're really passionate about, they should bring it into a project. So, for example, they can create last year we had different projects. One of them was creating a brand for a skin cream, which was really interesting how professional it looked. And it's not only about creating the product, but making the research and writing a paper, writing a project about it. So it's not only about creating the product itself, but about the whole journey, if I can say it that way, that what the student learned. So he made some initial research, then they have to set some goals. I will have this and this done by this time, and they also set their own criteria to measure the success, and then the end they reflect how well did I do. So it's a big project. We sent it to the IB. And they also assess it. We assess it in at school, and then they assess it and they send us their results. Yeah, so it's part of the MYP education. And then the grading, I think you were here for the most part of the grading. Is that correct? Or should I go through it again? Hello?
Hello, yes.
Should I go through the grading, or have you already been has the Zoom worked already?
You can go.
Okay, so I'll go through it again. Yeah, so if some of you were here, then feel free to leave if you have to go, but I will go through it again. Thanks. So grading, each subject has 4 criteria, and we are the teachers, we are grading the 4 criteria. So it's all about holistic approach to understand what the skills of the students are. So I'll talk about the criteria a little later. And we have 2 types of assessments. We have formative and summative assessments. So that means formatives, it comes from forming their skills and forming their knowledge. And then we have a summative at the end of the unit. It's a summative assessment. So it would be, let's say, a project, or it would be some sort of a test. And this one we take into consideration at the end of the year when we are putting the final grade for subject. And the grading is done based on trends. So at the end of the year on the report card, you will see the trend where how good is the student doing right now. I'll go through it in a little more detail in a second about the trending in particular. So here is an example of grading for language acquisition. Yeah, so if they are learning a new language, German or I don't know, Spanish. So we have 4 criteria that we are grading. It's listening, reading, speaking, and writing. Yeah, so we are assessing all 4 areas of the language, and this you can see it in ManageBag. When you open the assignments, it's going to be there. So A is listening, B is reading, C is speaking, and D is writing. Okay, and here on the right hand side you can see the criteria for or the rubric for assessment of this skill of listening skill. So if they have a minimal knowledge of listening or minimal understanding of listening, they would get maybe 1 or 2. And if they have really good and explicit understanding of the listened conversation, they would have a 7 or 8. Yes, so 7 and 8 are the highest grades. 8 is like really excellent. It's really hard to get an 8 if you are really an amazing student. And this is how we assess. So usually, like in a unit, we are assessing usually two criteria or 3 criteria, and the students will be informed what criteria are being assessed. And here, so for each subject, there are each subject has criteria, criterion A, B, C, D, and for each subject it's a different one. So here you can see for language literature is analyzing, organizing, producing text using language. In mathematics, it's knowing and understanding, investigating patterns, communicating, and applying mathematics in real world context. Yeah, so these are the criteria. And yeah, this is you can always find it. You don't have to remember it, or you can always find it in the ManageBag if you're opening the grade of an assessment, and you'll see which criteria was assessed. Yeah, and then the final grade at the end of the year, at the end of the semester, we put all this together, and then we get we see that in criterion A, for example, in the first unit, the result was 5, then it was 6, and then at the end of the year was 7. Yeah, so the final result, final grade for criterion A is 7. Okay, so this is about trend. It's not the average 6, but it's 7 because this is where the student really made a progress, and this is showing the trend. Yeah, it's improving the student. If we have the other tendency, if it started with 7, 6, 5, then the final assessment, like the final grade for criterion A is 5. Yeah, so this is where he is at. And then so we take all the grades for each criteria. So we have at the end of the year we have grade for criterion A, criterion B, criterion C, criterion D, and then we add them up. And then yeah, if you have all eights, for example, you would get 32 points, which equals to 7. Yeah, so at the end of the year, at the end of trimester, on the report card, we don't have 8s, we only have 7. Yeah, so 8 is like a plus or something like that. So also in Slovakia we don't have 1 plus on your report card, or in US a plus. You just have a. Yeah, so this is the same here. So throughout the year you can get 8s, but at the end of the year the maximum you get is a 7. And this is what you will see on the report card. And we don't use this terminology like excellent, very good, good, satisfactory, acceptable. We don't use it in IB, but it is for your information, just to have an idea what the grades are. So 4 is still a very good grade. It's not, doesn't mean that it's a half of 8, that it's not acceptable. It's a good grade. 6s are really good, really hard to get. 7s are really, really excellent. So 2 and 1 are a cause for concern. So this is how the grading structure works in IB, and yeah, this is what we how we grade. So if your children were in PYP, there was a similar grading system. It wasn't that complex. There were no criteria. There was just one grade. Here, it gets more complex throughout the year, but at the end of the year, there's also one grade. Okay, so this is it from the point of view of the grading. And if you have any questions, we can talk about them, or you can also write to me on EduPage or via email. Yeah, so it's up to you which one you prefer. Do you have any questions now? We have 3 minutes and a couple of seconds. I'm sorry for I haven't used Zoom for a while. I didn't know that there would be this 9-minute gap between calls, and I really thought like we will finish it in 40 minutes. I didn't want to take too much of your time, so I'm sorry there was a little bit of a problem with the Zoom call, but we normally don't offer it in hybrid form, these meetings, but we realized that it might be simpler for you. So do you have any questions at the moment?
Thank you. I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else?
Thank you. No, all good. Anyway, if you will share us a presentation later, it will be also useful.
Okay, I will put it on our blog, and then I will share the link to the blog, so it's easily accessible to you guys.
Thank you very much then. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. So I'm looking forward to being in communication with you in future.